prize is $5,000 cash and
Wow.
a 3-board quiver from Panda Surfboards.
I'm super fortunate to have today the CEO of Survival League, Taylor Lobdell. Hey, Taylor, thanks for coming on. And I want to learn all about Survival League.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, old surf dad. I'm stoked to be here.
You. One of the things I wanted to jump into right out of the gates, we've talked before, we both love surfing. I was wondering, like, where you grew up and maybe who was your surf hero? What was your surfboard, first board, things like that.
Yeah, so I grew up in Orange County in Costa Mesa, California. So my nearest beach was Newport Beach. And yeah, I just grew up on the beach. I don't even remember my first wave. My dad was a Huntington Beach lifeguard.
Nice.
So I just grew up in the sand. And I remember my dad saying, I will buy you a surfboard, but you have to stand up on a boogie board first. So I spent that
Wow.
whole summer just trying to figure out how to stand up on a boogie board. I finally got it, went to Play It Again Sports on Harbor Boulevard, and I
I
picked
know that
up,
one.
yes, I picked up a old Cordell surfboards. It's probably like, it was a 6'9" like gun that was completely inappropriate for a beginner, but I made it work and I surfed it for a long time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's a pintail single fin or mine was a twin fin, and you just so stoked you're going to make it work.
Yes.
There's people out there, believe it or not, who don't know what Survival League is. Why don't you give us kind of a rundown of Survival League and how it works?
Yeah, definitely. So Survival League is simplified fantasy surfer. So instead of picking 8 surfers and rounding out a full team, you only pick one surfer to advance past the round of 32. So there's no tiers, no points, no budget, none of that. So there's simply 4 rules. One is you pick one surfer each event. Uh, Number 2, the surfer must make it past the round of 32. Number 3, you can't pick the same surfer twice. And then number 4, it's winner takes all. So yeah, it's very simple, and it doesn't matter how far your surfer goes or if they win the event or not. They just have to make it through that round of 32.
Yeah, and you talked about winner takes all. Tell us about the prize this year. I noticed you've upped the stakes a little bit.
Yeah, so we have partnered with beachgrit.com and also Panda Surfboards. So we are the prize is $5,000 cash and
Wow.
a 3-board quiver from Panda Surfboards. The winner last year was a dude named Brendan, who is a
Yep.
butcher from Bondi Beach in Australia, and
Yeah.
he just DM'd me on Survival League Instagram. His boards are being shaped by Blake at Panda, and they look sick. So I'm excited to share what those look like to everybody.
One thing he did, which I thought was huge, was he donated a portion of his winnings. He
Yeah, so he actually what's really fun about Survival League is that I always have people do pick comments, and they're really funny, and then I share
oh,
them
they
with
are.
everybody.
Yes.
So I for the final, I wrote, okay, what is your prayer to the Survival Gods? And the Survival Gods are kind of a character I've come up with that is kind of like me, but kind of like everybody. He's a vengeful, merciless god who is
He's
just
for real.
striking down everybody. So I said, what is your prayer to the Survival Gods? And Brendan's prayer was, if I win survival, I will donate a portion to a nonprofit of your choice. So I was like, okay. So the Survival Gods were nice to Brendan and made him win. And then I put up a poll on my Instagram of actually I asked the users for suggestions on different surf
That's what
related
it was. I remember that.
different surf related nonprofits, and it was like Surfrider, Save the Waves, a couple others, and then I had a poll, and Save the Waves won it, and they got $1,000.
Yeah. So I just have to be honest about this. I made it into Jeffreys Bay and I actually went to the Panda website and started planning out my quiver.
Yeah, that's
And
a
it was
curse.
going to be, it was such a curse. Dude, do not do that. I went and looked at it. I liked the 20 there. I had two sort of mid-length. Come on, I'm 50 something years old. I had a couple mid-lengths in the works and then I was out. But I was so stoked, man. That thing kept me going the entire season. And by the way, to register, I'm going to put a picture of the website and how to register, and it's very simple. Put your name in, and is there a price? What does it cost, Taylor? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's $20 entry fee. And that's good for the whole season to join the league. You just go to surfival-league.com, put in the old Surf Dad referral code in there for yourself, and we can make a little old Surf Dad team. One of the
You,
best parts about Survival League is just getting this little community together. And instead of saying, like, who do you have for fantasy? And that's fun too, but it's kind of hard to remember everybody's fantasy surf teams. But if you're riding Kelly Slater at Pipe and everybody knows it and everybody's just zoned in on that first couple rounds, that
yeah,
sometimes cannot be the most exciting. And the way that fantasy works, they're not high stakes because you can change your team anyway.
right.
So that we're really focused on those early rounds, making those exciting and having a great community around it.
Yeah, it absolutely makes it more exciting. And I do want to say that last season I bought in for two picks. And thank God I did, because my first pick was Griffin Colapinto, who's famous for the Colapinto Curse. And if you guys don't know that yet, you will follow Taylor on his Instagram in Survival League.
Yes.
And it's so entertaining, dude. But the thing is, like, I think that Griffin, maybe you can give us some stats. And by the way, Griff
Yep.
and Mitch, I'm sorry. I love you guys. You know this. But anyway, carry on. Tell us about Griffin's stats on survival.
Yeah. So Griffin Colapinto is one of my favorite surfers. So no ill anything towards him. But
Right.
the Survival League has a generational curse put on it by one Griffin Colapinto. So basically, at all the events last year that he seemed to be a shoe-in to do well in, he got out before the round of 32. So it started with Bells Beach. He got a 32nd. Then he went to, where else did he
Oh,
go?
he went out
Actually,
at Pipe. I think
oh yeah, he went out at Pipe,
he went out Pipe
Sunset.
straight out of the gates. Like, I lost my survival pick, my first
Yeah,
pick in the very first event, and I took a lot of people down. And I apologize to you guys. I picked Griffin on my site, and it took a bunch of people out. But I had a
yeah,
second pick, which made it to J-Bay. But I'm sorry, carry on. He went
that's
out
right. It's
somewhere else.
yeah, Pipeline, Sunset. He went out at
He won
Bells
Portugal.
Beach and Rio. Yeah, so I mean, Rio, you'd think he'd be a lock for it, but he took
Yeah,
out more than 50% of the Survival League last year.
it's unbelievable, dude.
Yeah, so Survival League is open now,
Nice.
and you can sign up on our website. The deadline to join the league is January 28th, so the day that the waiting period opens for Pipe, and you got to get your pick in before the Hooter sounds on the first day.
Gotcha. So that's it. January 28th, you guys. And this
Yes.
year, I'm going to buy in, I don't know how many, maybe three, four. I don't know.
So
Dude,
we might
I'm
have to,
buying a
Dave,
bunch.
we might have to make a rule
Tell
that
me, tell me.
yeah, I'm thinking like maybe no more than two buy-ins, because I feel like you could rig it if you buy in 16 times and just pick every variation.
Yeah, I think you're onto something. Dude, that's
Yeah.
why you're the CEO. That's why you're the commish. I'm
Yes.
just fantasy guy crunching numbers, not thinking
So
about the big picture.
let's make it one per email address, but if you want to sign up your girlfriend or your dog or your whatever, you can do that as well. But I got my eye on the signups, and if there's anything fishy, I'm yanking you out.
All right, you guys got that? And I'm actually going to put my picks on my website. There's a part on my website that says my picks, and I'll put who I pick. And again, I wouldn't copy old Surf Dad all the time.
Yeah.
I'm 50% of the time I am spot on, and 50% of the time I am full of shit. And that's just how this fantasy thing runs, man.
I've never made it past Australia too, so if I'm ever giving you any tips or tricks, maybe don't listen to me as well.
I wanted to ask you
Yep.
this. I have a lot of people who watch the show, and thank you, by the way, from Brazil, from Australia, from Europe. If they register, what happens if they win, and how do they get their loot in their quiver, and how does that work?
Yeah. So if you are overseas, I will PayPal you the money in USD currency. So no worries there. If it kind of is country by country on the shipping. If shipping just gets
Right.
way too crazy, I could just offer cash in advance, and then you could just go support a local shaper. Um, but so there's no you can join from any country basically. Yeah, the cut is very interesting because, yeah, obviously, you have less surfers to pick. We also dial up the hardness meter a little bit and make it so you have to go past the round of 16 this
Yeah.
time. So, yeah, there's a huge balancing act of, hey, I want to maybe save my Gabriel Medina for post cut. But a lot of people were saving John last year, and then he got hurt before the cut. So,
Right.
or maybe right after. But saving somebody is not always the best option. I always think pick the best guy. Yeah, the surfer I usually pick at Pipeline is usually a pipeline specialist that I
Right.
don't necessarily want to use the rest of the year. Yeah,
It's
those
when
stats that you have on your site on the survival rates are interesting because you wouldn't expect. I mean, Leonardo Fioravanti
right.
rips, but he has a 75% survival rate at
Yes.
pipe, and you kind of wouldn't think about that. And you would think somebody like Seth Moniz would have
Right.
100%, but he's at 50. I think most surprising is Zeke Lau. Out of four
Yes.
events, he's
Yes.
never made it past the round of 32.
I split out the survival rates, and I'll again put it up here. But those surfers with 7 or more pipe results. So these are the guys who've been surfing in a long time, and you have everyone from Kelly, John, Gabriel, and then the bottom. You would think Kaloe Andino had better than an 18% survival rate. He's only at
Yep.
18%. And Jadson
Yes.
at 9, I probably would never pick Jadson. But the interesting thing, you see Miguel Pupo over there, who's got 40%
Yep.
survival rate, and he made it to the semifinals last year. So
Yeah.
you just never know. And it also has to do with, all right, how big is the surf going to be? And based on
Yes.
the swells that we're getting, we could be looking at a big pipe event, and Miguel Pupo's that guy, that's going to do well rather than, obviously we're not picking Felipe. But
Yep.
Elo's only 57%. And I'm throwing out so many geeky numbers right now. This is why you do Survival League. There's guys
Yep.
who love this part of it, and there's other guys and girls who just love to pick one surfer to make it through. And that's the beauty of this.
Exactly right. Yeah, so I think that you can be a complete surf nerd and just geek out all day on
Yeah.
numbers on survival like I do, or you can just say, "Hey, I know Kelly Slater's a good-looking guy, and I know he's he's successful at pipe. I'm picking him." So either way works, and sometimes the nerds lose. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a good example of that. So I'm going to pick from probably the crop. I really like, I do like Kelly in this. He survived 11 of the last 12, and he's a one hit wonder. Is he going to surf after that? He may not even surf the rest of the season because there's nothing on that schedule which gets him or me too excited, to be honest, to see him surfing. A couple other standouts we talked about with 3 to 6 pipe results: Leonardo Fioravanti, 75%, Kaiwi Belly. And the other one I thought was interesting, and you may want to keep this for those of you who do fantasy, is Yagadora's got a pretty good run going.
mhm.
He seems to do well, and he just did well in the Vans Pipe Masters. So, what
Yep.
are your thoughts?
So at pipe, it's strange because usually you want to pick a top guy, I think, but the top guys Felipe, Italo, Jack Robinson, which I think would be a good pick, Ethan Ewing, and Kanoa. I don't necessarily want to pick these top 5 guys. They'll be the highest seeded guys, but that
Mm,
means they're going to be coming up against those local wild cards, which really scares me. So I think the sweet spot on this survival league is somewhere between like 6 and 15. So in that spot, you got Slater, you got John, um, you got Pupo. So I think, what do I think? I think I have to go with the GOAT, Kelly Slater.
Yeah,
I
I think
think,
we agree on that.
yeah, he's gonna be he's 15th, so he's gonna be have an okay seed. He's kind of unbeatable out there unless it's really small, and he just knows the reef better than everybody. I also would be leaning towards Medina having a like he's just such an animal, but he will have a fairly low seed, so he could come up against some heavy hitters. But I'm gonna lock in Kelly Slater. Jack Robinson at number 3 is probably a good pick as well.
Yeah,
And he probably will be in the top 3 of the volume of picks for survival.
there you have it. We're picking Kelly Slater. You guys make your own decisions. I wouldn't pick Kelly if it was me out there, listening to the two guys that are placing bets on Kelly. But that's pretty epic. Anything else you want to cover? I love it, man.
Yeah, no, I just think it's fun. I'm excited to see the whole Old Surf Dad crew get in there, tell your
Yeah.
friends, and I'm active on Instagram if you want to get in touch. I'm send out some pretty funny emails as well, so get on that email list and for all the event by event updates and keep listening to Old Surf Dad.
Thanks, man. Totally agree with all that. Jump in on Survival before it closes on January 28th. You won't have a better time. And good luck to everybody out there. Hey, Taylor, thanks again, man. And we'll keep up during the season.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Have a good one.
Right on, man. Thanks. You.
Shake your hand. I'm gonna shake your hand. Shake your hand. I'm gonna shake your hand. I want to shake his hand. I want to shake his hand. I want to shake his hand. Pull me off the fucking plate. I want to shake his hand. That's all I want.